Hello friends, welcome to AGS IAS Academy. Under this banner, we have brought a special series for the preparation of PT IAS 2022. And this special series will be focusing the entire details and strategies as to how the PT can be cracked. And the title of this series is RASPT Marathon Mission to Crack PT. Clear with full confidence and part 1 of the series. Here we would like to discuss about the strategy part and that too particular GS paper 1. As we know, we are having two papers of GS, that's paper 1 and another is GS paper 2, also known as CSAT. But then today in this series of 1, we'll be focusing on how students should prepare so that they can crack PT, as PT which appears to be very easy, but actually these days that PT has turned out to be a bit dicey, and so that requires special attention so that that can be cracked. Because for those who have knowledge of speaking, writing with good command over language, they can really do well in men's. But for them, the first stage known as PT could be something or somewhat difficult. And this is where our role is important to let you help actually how easily you can crack this. Under this, we have categorized with the start of foundation studies and AGS IAS Academy make your future with your mentors here and make your dreams come true. So in this sense, let's start, let's find and let's explain about foundation studies, what and how it could be useful and fruitful for PT exams. If you talk about any aspirant, his aspirant has been doing and has prepared already school days classes or college days, but then that memories may not be available there and that could have been faded away. So what it requires as a whole, that you need to focus, you need to reinvent yourself for those classes of various foundation studies, as almost all of you remain aware more or less about the concept of the previous classes, but not necessarily remembering whole things. And but many of you so might be forgetful in understanding and keeping in the memory what you had studied earlier. Friends, this foundation studies really is significant and very important, as many of us take PT exams for granted. It has been found by many surveys. Aspirants generally think maths is everything, but the reality is PT plays a very significant role in clearing the first stage and eventually the final stage of IS exams. Unless anybody clears first stage, definitely second, third stage turn out to be difficult. Nonetheless, it's not that easy as it appears, this first stage. And the current PT question papers of 2021 speak volumes about it and justify what we are talking, and I'm giving you the examples and explaining this. And I'm pretty sure many of you would have gone through the paper of this year, how different the trend was. The trend was not following what used to happen. It was, as you know, completely reversed. It turned out to be a big surprise for those who were new entrant for ISPT this year. Aspirants had prepared a lot previously based on those patterns for decades, at least a decade and a half or plus. But it was very disheartening for those having prepared so well, could not find the necessary and potential questions which they were expecting this year, PT 10th October 2021. So, conclusively, it was decided the paper of PT is not, now seems not to be as easy as it's being perceived. Here, explanation what we are going to discuss as a part of foundation studies, which I am discussing going further. We all know as to how the prevailing trend was completely reversed. Many of the aspirants, thousands and lakhs, they were preparing based on the previous trend. That follow this trend and the question will come accordingly, and so they will crack this. Let's have like few examples about how was the trend and then how it was reversed. If I say, for example, consider the following pairs. It used to be a very common trend for the exams, like it was divided in two parts. On one part with the title C, and on the other hand with the title bordering country. Under C title, say for example, choices were given as a part of pair 1, Adriatic Sea, and in front of it, Albania. 2, Black Sea, and parallel to this, Croatia. 3, Caspian Sea, parallel to this, Kazakhstan. 4th, Mediterranean Sea, parallel to this, Morocco. And 5th, Red Sea, parallel to this, Syria. And if they ask which of the pairs given above are correctly matched, A 1, 2 and 4 only, B 1, 3 and 4 only, C 2 and 5 only, D 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is one of the trends which students, aspirants, all of you who were entrained for this, they were following. Let's have another example. Very common, they used to ask, consider the following statements. This particular line has been very trendy for long years. Under this, I give you one example. In the second example, under Ramsar Convention, number 1, under Ramsar Convention, it is mandatory on the part of the government of India to protect and conserve all the wetlands in the territory of India. This was one statement. And second statement, the wetlands under conservation and management rules 2010 were framed by the government of India based on the recommendations of Ramsar Convention. And statement number 3, the wetlands in bracket conservation and management rules 2010 also encompass the drainage area or catchment regions of the wetlands as determined the authority. Now, as usual, as per the trend, which of the statements given above is or are correct? A 1 and 2 only, B 2 and 3 only, C 3 only, D 1, 2 and 3. So friends, what we got? It was not that the structure of forming the question was different or it was reversed. No, structure of making the question was same. What was the different? Twisting, turning, frightening, and then taking out the soul from the question, putting in such a way which aspirants felt as if they had never studied anything in life and whole preparation of studies completely gone mad. So in 2022, the suggestion for this is not to fall in the risk, not to get the attempt jeopardized. It is essential start preparation now with competent, complete strategy and plannings, so that even they change the track, even they change the trend, your trend does not get disturbed of preparation. And what is significant is for those who had prepared trend wise based on the previous year's questions, as we know, we discussed just now, were confident enough that they are going to write men's after this PT, but they were hardly knowing what will happen. But of course, many of them were lucky also based on guesses. They might clear, and I'm sure many of them will clear. But for majority, the question was not based on guesses, so that they can go to the next stage. Potential preparation was needed, and I'm pretty sure all of you had done commendably well, prepared well, and were very confident. But it was not your fault, not fault of any aspirant. It was the pack of surprises which really played its card by the examiner competent authority, and that happened something a big fiasco. Students and dear friends, now we go for analysis part. What we will cover under this analysis about this PT preparation, so that you don't face same kind of mistakes this year which others faced, and you can crack very easily in coming exams of PT. One, the foremost important thing to do for the fresher here means who is first timer, is appearing in this ISPT exam for the first time, need to be alert to take the same exam seriously. Kindly take the PT seriously, otherwise before PT doesn't take you seriously. So it's very very important and significant. Most of us think, let us prepare directly means PT will be just cakewalk, and they don't take PT seriously. So it is found very clearly and to the majority of aspirants that PT ignores the aspirants and PT goes away. PT is not being cleared. But yes, as I said, could be some examples, many of you who could have cleared based on guesses, but not always, as it has also negative markings. Then the $1,000,000 question is, does it really happen? Earlier probably might happen, but today, maybe due to stiff competition, this does not appear to do so, because if the trend is not the same, if the guesses which they had prepared long enough according to the prevailing question patterns got completely reversed, so this year they faced fiasco. But I am pretty sure today's this ISPT series which you are hearing, which you are seeing, would definitely turn out to be something very suggestive, something very fruitful and helpful in cracking and achieving your dream, which was never before. No doubt, paying attention to men's exams directly second stage of IS is okay, justifiable, but it's highly risky as well, as you wish to devote your time. However, at the same time, if you are purely preparing for IS men's and interviews, ignoring PT as an essential component to clear first, which is very much screening, unless you crack this screening stage, is difficult to even enter the second part. So the focus should be primarily categorized on the first stage first, and should be more emphasis on the nuances of the first stage, so that for entering the second stage, that turns out to be a cakewalk, and obviously those who will be having knowledge of writing and speaking, the third stage or personal development will be just a cakewalk. Friends, ISPT, needless to add, has become much more difficult than the other two phases of the remaining parts of IS. You know how? You can ask how it's possible. How did it happen? Yes, the first part PT has become difficult than ever before for those who really wanted to clear, who wanted to clear these exams, but without proper preparation it became difficult. Also because the rush for clearing this exam has gone much tougher, numbers have gone dramatically up, and that number has made very much competitive this particular exam. If the competition becomes competitive, then what is the solution? Solution is very clear. Right strategy should be there, right planning should be there. That's essential. Unless that happens, along with complete revision, what had been taught, what has been discussed, and as you know, this PT is part of this 2021 exams. It was much more confusing. It was much more twisting. Many of the candidates even could not find the direct answer. So, how it was that? It means it's also based on analytical. So, you have to make your mind and preparation based on analysis. What the new trend talks about, the candidate has to be scanned out properly through the mirror of analysis. UPSC wants to check not only the facts of the preparation of the candidate, it also tries to find out as to how the candidate whether has analytical prowess or not. Because in the practical life, if the candidate will not have analytical or mental faculty, even thinking out of the box mentality, that will be difficult decision for a bureaucrat to take decision on the spot. Precisely on the account, the UPSC has tried to make it as analytical as possible, and the best example of that got reflected in this year's ISPT's paper, particularly GS paper 1. Friends, paper 2 CSAT's story is quite different. You all know those who are not even with balanced studies of passages and mathematics, they cannot clear that, but we will discuss and talk of that series of that paper 2 in the coming series of this strategy. Therefore, it is needed to point out that as a part of the suggestion, the focus must be on the first hurdle. And there are also reports from many friends. They feel that 2, 3, 4 months will be enough to prepare, or even 1 month will be enough for clearing these PT exams. But as I said, the number is too much high for these exams for PT. Number is so much high, people feel dramatically frightened, and then they get distracted while seeing the results. So PT has to be handled according to the right preparations and does not need to depend, or the candidate has to avoid the dependency factor on luck only. Luck, we never know about the luck because we have no idea how does it work. But what works is we know the labor. At least the satisfactorily part of your preparation is very very essential before even thinking to go for this particular PT. And how to go for this satisfactorily part is you have to start preparations in the right perspective, as it will make the exams much easier and will make your dreams come true. Also, it is always advisable make your study focus oriented so that you don't get any diversion in this direction for all practical purposes. What does it mean? Let's try to understand with examples. If a person is trying to give the exams in the next year or coming year and doing a lot of other things, maybe involved in jobs, maybe involved in other courses, maybe involved in other activities, means there is a sense of distraction for this goal because this goal is really tougher. And at least in India, in our country, this is considered the toughest exams. But let me tell you, this is the easiest exam in our country, provided you follow the rules and regulations, you follow the strategy, right guidelines. All this accumulate in converting your dreams into reality. But then you have to be focused. You have to get things revised time and again. You have to get practices. You have to practice time and again. And you need to develop methods of elimination where you don't know. Then how to eliminate and find the correct answer in the given situations. And next, friends, ISPT preparation requires at least what we have seen for many years and years. 6 months minimum should be left for preparation for all accounts to materialize in the right perspectives. Ideally, if somebody keeps it 1 year is ideal, but due to lack of time, then it should be at least 6 months should be an ideal position. It will ensure your success corresponding to your goal, what you have decided to procure. Dear friends, so this is essential how you follow this path, how you follow the guidelines. We all are aware UPSC preparation for many aspirants means too much knowledge or wants to become encyclopedia himself or herself and wants to know everything about the knowledge. But let me tell you, knowing everything is not the guarantee for clearing or cracking UPSC. What is essential is what is in your hand is your own best efforts. If you give the best efforts, there is no reason why it cannot be cracked. But yes, there are many chances based on luck people do clear these exams also, but that's all an exception. Students, my dear friends, answer maybe no or maybe not about how to actually go for this, but the clear strategy here should be it entirely depends upon the individual regarding the strategy though and preparation for the same, but still the strategy should be long enough to at least ideal situation is to prepare for men's, to prepare for PT, and at a stage prepare entire things. If not able to do, not able to prepare entire things, PT plus men's, then kindly focus on your first stage because that's the gateway to enter into second stage, essentially to clear PT followed by a personality test. Dear students, then what is the way forward? What is the solution? How best it can be done? You can ask what is the probability, what is the solution? Solution is following could be taken as a way forward to address the questions above and introspections related to the ISPT preparations. Here what is significant is the IAS aspirants must chalk out a strategy that could be quite useful for the appearing candidates. So strategy number 1, they must first of all of you who are going to appear in PT must read and revise the entire NCERT books from 6 to 12 thoroughly from A to Z, at least in the first reading. In the second reading, that can be selectively handled. In the fourth reading, only those which are important should be taken care of, so that they can be having good understanding of the foundational concept. They are called foundational concept based on which your knowledge depend, and they are going to face in the exams. Many questions directly or indirectly creep from these areas of NCERTs and connected knowledge. So they should not be surprised by the trends if that suddenly change. Suppose anybody has thorough knowledge or has studies properly. Let's take one example. There are many papers there, unlimited papers, but some of them are major papers like history, polity, geography, economics. These are the areas on the basis of which anybody can break the barrier. But suppose majority of them depended by eliminating some major portions from this, and if they asked from one area heavily and depended on that, this could lead to disaster, which is what happened this year. The history portion got tremendous weightages, and the trend was totally reversed. So what happened? Those students from history mostly are chances to clear from this stream, because the trend was like that, barring few exceptions. So if your study is balanced, you have thoroughly studied, you go for the trend to follow later, but at the initial stage, try to fulfill all conditions which are essential to follow this pattern of studying thoroughly at the initial stage. It is purely discretion though of the examination conducting authority, how whether the authority will set the question patterns based on trends or will give you complete surprises. Entirely is the discretion of the authority, not the candidates. And obviously that cannot be in anybody's control. But however, what is in your hand is to address the problems accordingly. And what is that? And that is to find out your weak areas, focus on that. To find out questions, the trends which come regularly, focus on that. And if you have apprehension, what will happen, how to handle the question, how best, so that you don't miss any question. One of the strategies is, as I'm telling, to make it a balanced studies and follow the entire syllabus fully, so that you are able to find the answer as you wish to do so, and you don't repent for the what you want to really get out of that. So what is essential is focus your time and energy in the first reading to all the papers. Particularly history covers lot many areas. If you are not interested in history to study too much, then the subject which you feel important like polity, focus on that. Those who feel good in economics, focus on that. Those who feel interested in geography, focus on that. But let me tell you, UPSC does not give you choices. UPSC gives you surprises. So you have no option, but at least four major subjects of UPSC like geography, economics, history and polity have to be revised and thoroughly studied. And for the rest, according to the requirement of the time and preparations, can give and devote time. Say for example, current affairs. They sometimes ask, sometimes they don't ask. So you have the privilege to get those areas done or not to get those areas done. But let me tell you, maybe that you have studied all and left current affairs. Next year they asked you 40 questions from current affairs. What will happen? Fell flat? So you cannot afford to take risk even in current affairs, because they are very clever enough, they can say something else which you are not expecting, and what you are expecting they are giving you something else. So address to address and really fight all these menaces, to really cope with these odd situations in the field, you have to have balanced studies. And how this will happen? This will happen through revision, revision, and revision again. Because revision is an essential part which will help you really understand. Because, say for example, there are many books of NCERTs of many subjects. How will you study? If you study one time, you tend to forget 80%. If you don't revise and practice thoroughly based on what is being asked or likely to be asked, or even those you have no ideas about the trend, but then if you keep on revising time to time, it will suddenly help you to crack those areas even where you are not pretty sure. Then, after studying thoroughly NCRTs, study other sources, be it from polity. There are many areas which are not there, but this can be found based on current events like schemes, governmental schemes, like Niti Ayog recently reconstituted. Many questions come from there. Then, like committees, constitutional amendments. But then this time they reverse the trend. So you never know where they will focus. So keep your studies balanced so that you don't face problems in this sense where any questions or anything can be left. So what is the conclusion? Let's have the concluding part of this. To conclude, it can be said that follow all the instructions that have been guided to you for cracking these exams, and this is all you have to follow. Good luck to each and everybody, all of you, for cracking, and for those who are going to appear for PT in coming year of this UPSC. Do share, do like, do subscribe if it has enlightened you. Thanks for watching the video.